Hello, now I'm going to talk about a new feature that we've been working on, and there's two parts of this. Usually when you have API tests with large payloads, we need to have an expression to do two different things. One thing is to validate payloads, another thing is to extract data from large JSON payloads, and this also goes for XML testing where we convert the XML to JSON. And where you want to see these examples to understand this, you will go to docs.boozang.com and you'll go into API testing. And I will talk about now the JSON path, which is this new functionality that we built. And you have usage examples here to understand this. The best thing is to look at examples. Here I have the Boozang tool, and I've prepared some example data here and a number of expressions to extract parts of the JSON payload. And of course, what you need to do is it's a utility function called util.extractData, where you put the data and the expression. With this, we also created an editor view, and here you can choose, do you want to validate or you want to extract? So now I will demonstrate extract with a number of examples. And here it is very, the best thing is to use the examples to try it. I'll just show you some of the different examples from the documentation. On the left hand side, you'll put the JSON path example. And here, as you can see, I look at the node data.name, and you can now apply on any test data that you have to see what the result is. And as you can see, it's data name 2. So as you can see, it does exactly that. It looks for the node data and extracts the name. So that's to be expected, okay? And here, of course, you can just type in whatever you want. I can do name 1 here, and I can refresh, and as you can see, there is no match. But you can also reselect a different variable. Here we are using mixed data for the different examples. When I use a data and use a parenthesis, I do the exact same thing. I look for name, but I also rename the node. So parenthesis means rename. Another thing you can do is that you can look into the list name, and as you can see, there is an array inside of here, and what you get is an array as the result. So this is of course really good when you need to do really complex operations. We have another example, and of course in the documentation you will find more examples, but here you see we just do the name, and of course it finds that name node, name 1. We can also do a lot of more complex stuff. So for instance here, we define an array with name and value, and what it does is it extracts the name node and the value node, and as you can see, puts it just like that side by side. So that of course you would put util.extractData and you'd be able to find this. So you would typically use this, you'll use that operation in the API test, and then you can of course do a bunch of things with that. We can also kind of search through the tree. So this one, we kind of use a wildcard for the key, and as you can see, if I double click here, we will see that it both extract the name node and all the name things underneath here. So if I double click the list, you can see how that one ends up into an array, and also a list object, which kind of make sure that you can get, well, I'll show you. You see now you get the first one, the object, and the name value example like this. Last example, you can use a comma separated thing to both look for the data node and the list node. So if I double click here and look at the list, it extracts both of them and puts them side by side, which is very powerful. So for sure, this is something you need to experiment with, but what we would like you to see is to see if you can get this to work for you and see if there are any operations missing. We think this is very, very powerful. So go to docs.boozang.com and look at JSON path for the different examples and play with it yourself and see if there's anything that you're missing here. But we think this is going to be super powerful to be able to extract data, and even better to be able to do complex validations on big JSON payloads coming from your API tests.